I've driven a taxi in Boston for close to 30 years. That's a lot of potholes, a lot of traffic on Starro Drive, a lot of Red Sox games, weddings, and more than a few late-night regrets sitting in the backseat. I've seen people cry in my cab, propose marriage, fight, pass out, throw up, you name it. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for that Thursday morning in February. It started like any other winter shift. Cold, real cold. The kind of cold that makes your steering wheel stiff and your breath fog up the windshield even with the heat blasting. I'd gotten up around 5:30, put on my thermals under my jeans, packed a peanut butter sandwich, and checked on my old Toyota Camry, which was parked outside my apartment in Revere. The Camry isn't much to look at, but she's reliable. She's got 315,000 miles on her and still starts up like clockwork. I do my own maintenance, oil changes, brake pads, the works. That morning, I brushed off some snow, scraped a layer of frost from the inside of the windshield, and got her warmed up. I was on the road by 6:15. My first fares were nothing special. Picked up a nurse from Dorchester heading to Mass General. Then a kid from Brighton going to Logan Airport. He barely looked up from his phone the whole ride. Typical. I circled around the Back Bay, cruised Boylston, and turned down Huntington, looking for flags or app requests. By about 8:30, I was on Tremont, sipping coffee and trying to decide if I wanted to take a bathroom break near the library. That's when I got the ping, pickup at the corner of Arlington and Beacon. No name, just requested ride. So I headed there. When I pulled up, there was no one waiting. I double-checked the address. Right place. I waited a minute. No sign of anyone. Sometimes people cancel mid-request. Sometimes they're inside and running late. I gave it 5 minutes. Still no one. I tapped "No show" on the app and pulled off. I remember thinking how quiet the backseat was as I took the next left. Usually there's some smell, perfume, food, cologne, that weird plastic smell from gym bags. But that morning, just silence, or so I thought. At the red light near Marlborough Street, I heard it. A faint shuffle, like something shifting on the leather seat. I glanced in the rearview mirror. Nothing. I turned slightly and looked behind me. Still nothing. Just the usual. My extra jacket, a half-empty bottle of Poland Spring, and a Boston Herald folded up on the floor. I chalked it up to the cold messing with the car's suspension and kept going. But then, maybe 5 blocks later, I stopped at a crosswalk to let an older lady cross. And clear as day, I heard a whimper. Short, sharp. A puppy's sound. I slammed the brakes, turned full around in my seat, and that's when I saw him. Curled up in the far corner of the backseat, nestled against my jacket like he'd been riding there for hours, was a tiny Fox Terrier. Mostly white, with a splash of tan over his left eye, and wiry fur sticking out every which way. His ears were twitching slightly, and his little chest was moving with steady, peaceful breaths. I swear to God, I jumped a little. You have to understand, in my job, I don't get surprised easily. But this was a dog, a sleeping dog, in the backseat of my locked car. No owner, no note, no barking, just there. I stared at him for a full 10 seconds before I said out loud, "What the hell?" He stirred slightly when I spoke, opened one eye, and then went right back to sleep. I pulled over immediately, got out of the car. Walked around, opened the rear passenger door slowly, careful not to startle him. Still asleep. "Hey there, buddy," I said softly. That got his attention. He raised his head, looked at me like I'd interrupted the best nap of his life, and then wagged his tail. Just a few times, but it was a start. I crouched down to get a better look at him. He had a collar, a sturdy, tan leather one with a small gold medallion. No name tag, but the medallion had something engraved on it. I held it up to the light and squinted. There it was. A phone number. No name, no address. Just a number. No area code either, just 7 digits. Local. Now, I've returned my share of forgotten wallets, phones, even a whole suitcase once. But never a living, breathing animal. My first instinct was to call animal control. Then I figured, if the number's right there, why not just call it? So I did. That's where things started to get even more interesting. I dialed the number. Old school style, just punched it in on my phone. 7 digits, no area code, which told me it had to be Boston, probably inner city. I held the phone to my ear and glanced back at the little guy curled up in my backseat like it was his own private limo. 2 rings. 3. Then someone picked up. Hello? Female voice. Older. Not elderly, but past middle-aged. Calm, clear. Hi, I said. You don't know me, ma'am, but I think I might have found your dog. There was a pause. Not confusion. Not surprise. Just a moment of silence where I imagined her trying to process what I just said. Then, carefully, excuse me? I'm a cab driver, I said. I picked up a ride near Beacon and Arlington about 25 minutes ago. There was no one there when I arrived. I drove off, and I found a Fox Terrier puppy in the backseat of my car. He's got a collar with this number on it. The pause grew longer. Then she said, can you describe him? I gave a quick rundown. Wiry coat, tan eye patch, small build, quiet, still sleeping. The voice cracked, just slightly. That's Mickey. You found Mickey. And then I heard a muffled sob, like she'd put her hand over the receiver. Then a second voice, male this time, deeper, closer to the phone. Is it about Mickey? Did someone find him? I could hear the woman nodding, crying now but trying to stay composed. He has him. He has Mickey. I felt a rush of something. Relief, maybe. That I could help. That this little guy in my cab wasn't going to be left at a shelter or turned over to the city. That someone out there cared enough to cry over him. Where can I bring him? I asked. The man took the phone. Where are you now? I'm pulled over near the public garden. I can be wherever you are in 20 minutes, depending on traffic. He told me they lived in Jamaica Plain. I told him no problem. As I turned the car around, the puppy, Mickey, stretched his legs and climbed cautiously to the edge of the seat. He didn't seem scared, just curious. He looked out the window like any other passenger might, nose pressed to the glass, tail wagging now a bit faster. I asked him, how do you even get in here? No answer, obviously, but I wondered. As I drove down Huntington, then onto the Jamaica Way, I started piecing together the timeline. I'd cleaned the car the night before, locked all doors manually. No passengers since the airport run at 7:30. And the pickup near Beacon was a no-show. Could it be that someone left the dog there intentionally? Like, waited for a cab, then walked off without getting in? But why? The more I thought about it, the more it didn't add up. But the fact remained, this dog wasn't scared, wasn't frantic, and clearly belonged to someone who loved him. When I pulled up outside the address they gave me, a modest 2-story house with cedar shingles, I didn't even get the chance to knock. The door burst open, and the woman from the phone, wearing a long cardigan and bedroom slippers, rushed out like someone had lit a fire behind her. She stopped when she saw the car. I opened the back door, and Mickey leapt straight into her arms. It was one of those moments that freeze in time. Her face crumpling, tears running down, him licking her chin like he'd been gone a year, not a few hours. The man came down the porch steps slower, more measured, but when he reached them, he placed a steadying hand on her back and scratched Mickey gently behind the ears. His voice was thick with emotion. We thought he was gone. The woman nodded. We thought someone took him. I finally spoke. If you don't mind me asking, how did he get lost? They looked at each other. Then the man said, we were at the vet in Back Bay. We had the car door open while we settled the bill inside. Mickey was in the backseat, in his carrier. He must have nudged the door open and jumped out. By the time we realized, he was nowhere. The woman added, we searched for an hour. Asked stores. Walked the streets. We didn't know he would get into a car. I nodded slowly. I must have had the door open during that no-show. Maybe he snuck in then. It was cold. He probably saw the open door and figured it was warm. That would explain why he was sleeping when I found him. The man looked at me, like he was seeing me for the first time. You saved him. I shook my head. He saved himself. I just happened to be the cab he picked. We talked a little more. They offered me money, insisted, actually. I refused twice before taking a small folded bill, mostly to make them feel better. It was more than generous. But it wasn't why I stopped. I left with the warmth of that moment sitting heavy on my chest. Back in the cab, driving toward the Longwood area for the lunch rush, I kept thinking about how easily that dog could have ended up somewhere else. A pound, a highway, worse. Instead, he found me. But the story didn't quite end there. Because 2 days later, something arrived at my apartment that surprised me even more than the dog in the backseat.